All right, revenue analysis, sales per rep. This is the final post slash video on revenue analysis and sales per rep means sales per representative, of course. This is a pretty common sales metric within organizations, not so much when it comes to security analysis, but it kind of rounded out the rest of the uh, content I had put together on the topic of revenue analysis. And if you're not familiar, uh, revenue analysis is part of a larger series of post slash videos on common stocks and uncommon profits, the book by Philip Fisher. Now, let me also point out that this one isn't going to have its own downloadable uh, like worksheet like some of the other posts have. But if you're interested in those, just head over to investsomemoney.com, and it's where you can find like sales growth analysis. It's got a downloadable worksheet, and these are all the same too. They're different tabs on the same Google sheet, but sales target analysis on there, and then my last video on sales versus inventory. That also has a downloadable component. So it kind of brings you up to speed to what the topic is here. Just for summary, for perspective, like I said, this all falls under the banner of the one of Philip Fisher's 15 points, analyzing the effectiveness of the sales organization. And I kind of debated on whether or not to even make a video after this because it's not really much of an analysis. It's pretty simple and straightforward. But there was really, from the sales growth, the sales target, the looking at conversion analysis, unique selling propositions, all that stuff that analyzed the sales organization, while all good information and worth thinking about, nothing really summed up the effectiveness of the sales organization quote from Philip Fisher's point quite like sales per rep. I mean, that's just it. Uh, how much in sales does each representative in the company make? And, that's not going to be an exact number because we just don't have exact information to work with, as investors or people analyzing companies. So, but what it does serve to do is allow you to compare between competitors, just for an idea. It's um, not going to be probably a make or break your investment decision, but you know, again, if you're a student of Philip Fisher's book there, going through the 15 points, you want to look at the effectiveness of the sales organization, point 4, then, you probably ought to at least take 5 minutes to put together a comparison of sales per rep. So there are other factors that might contribute to high or low numbers besides the effectiveness of each sales representative within a particular company. Things like user experience, um, business model, and all that. But anyhow, we'll get into that all a little more here. That's just a summary of what this video is about. So, first thing to gather, of course, when you wanted to look at sales per rep is revenue or sales. And for my little example I made here, I used trailing 12 months of revenue, pulled that information from Yahoo Finance. Can also, if you wanted to use, the sum of the previous 4 quarters or whatever from SEC filings, that'll work too. But again, given the nature of this kind of, this is just for a metric just for information's sake, might as well just go to Yahoo Finance or whatever your preferred finance website is. I like to use the actual number rather than using the per millions number. So look at my worksheet here. And again, I stuck with, or I should say, I've gone back to Facebook. A lot of my previous revenue analysis posts and videos, well, posts, I should say, are used Facebook as an example company, except for the last one, which used Target because it focused on sales versus inventory. And since Facebook doesn't carry inventory, I wasn't going to serve as a good example for that. But anyhow, in this case, sales per rep, we can pivot back to look at Facebook. And so I've got that out here, compared it as I did in I believe it was the USP, unique selling proposition post, compared Facebook to Twitter and Snapchat. So pretty big revenue discrepancy, as you can see there. And I use the actual numbers because then it'll give you your sales per rep number. That's an actual number, not per millions. If I don't know, it makes the number mean a little more to me. And again, since we aren't doing an inordinate amount of analysis in a spreadsheet here, ordinarily I would take that down to, um, number in millions for this sort of stuff. But in this case, just left it or use the actual number. So revenue, it's pretty easy. Like I said, you go to Facebook, go to financials. Here's revenue quarterly, and my screen must not be wide enough here because maybe it's on this one. All right. Ordinarily, or sometimes it'll show a trailing 12 months number here. Use that, but if not, just sum to 4 quarters. Again, it's just kind of an FYI number. So that's where I got that. And then so the second part of the ratio, of course, is marketing and sales employees. And let me expound on that a little bit. That's the best proxy I could find for representatives. Now, again, not every single person that's a marketing or sales employee is going to be directly responsible for sales. So they're not, not necessarily sales reps in the traditional sense. Sales employees are going to be, by my interpretation, the external, the direct salespeople. But on the flip side, the marketing department is going to be responsible for gathering those leads for the company's, image. And basically, to me, they work in tandem to make sales for the company. So in the case of Facebook, marketing in part is responsible for making Facebook, well, for getting users to Facebook, and maybe in some respects for making Facebook seem like an appropriate place to advertise, where sales department, in other words, would work directly with the advertisers and try to do their part to bring in as much revenue as possible. So that's my interpretation. If yours is different, by all means, just use marketing, just use sales. I thought it was appropriate to use both. So the only source I'm aware of for that information, number of employees, is LinkedIn. And this is, again, a huge approximation. And if you need any proof of that, if you currently work in a job for a company that's not too terribly big, just go in there, look at your company, look at the people in a particular department, and see who pulls up. You will probably notice, as I did, that it's not completely right. They'll put some people in sales that don't belong there. Some people, are not included in sales. So especially when you start talking hundreds or thousands of employees, excuse me, that's just it's going to be a big approximation, but it's about the best we have to work with. So that's what we use. Anyhow, I didn't want to log into my actual Facebook here, or my actual Facebook. I didn't want to do that either. Didn't want to log into my actual LinkedIn. But so I just took a screenshot, and you go to a company's page. If you're at all familiar with LinkedIn, search for it. It looks something like this. You'll see this menu along the left-hand side of that LinkedIn company page. Just go to people. From there, if you click over to next, to what they do, then you can find all the different departments. Marketing, for instance, to see. And when you look up marketing and sales, click on them both. There you go. You'll have your number of employees. So did that for, let me also point out, there's a bit of a discrepancy here. It gives this total up here, but it's different than the totals that are showed down here where you actually select the department. So like, I don't know why that is. Again, all I can say is, as I've said several times already, it's just an approximation. Anyhow, look that up for the particular company you're analyzing, its competitors, and plug into something like this, total the amount there. And there you go. As you can see, Facebook has considerably more revenue, also has considerably more in employees in each of those departments. So, I probably could have figured at first glance, not having made this calculation here, the sales per rep, that okay, Facebook's probably higher, but what I didn't realize is nearly twice as much as, or over twice as much as like Twitter, and 3 times as much as Snapchat. So, it pays to go ahead and do the calculation there to really put it into perspective. And you can see I made a little chart here just for visualization, and that's what we learn. Facebook, for probably reasons that are arguable, has way better sales per marketing and sales employee than either of these two competitors, if you want to call them competitors. I kind of cover that in my unique selling proposition post. That that's debatable, but for the sake of illustration, we'll say they're competitors. Sales per rep, of course, that calculation is trailing 12 months revenue, or whatever revenue number you want to use, divided by marketing sales employees. And again, doesn't do much for you besides kind of give you a comparison between the quality maybe of the sales organizations for the company you're looking at and its competitors. So there are other things to keep in mind, kind of as I alluded to earlier. One company might have a better business model. Particular in this example, the return on investment might be way better for advertisers on Facebook than it is Twitter or Snapchat. So they pump more money into buying ads on Facebook. Therefore, the sales per rep is considerably higher for Facebook. Could be the user experience. If Facebook's more broadly popular, it might, its format might be more conducive to ads that get a better ROI and therefore more sales per rep. So it can be more things, but it's good in a sense that you run the calculation because while in and of itself it might not be hugely important, the sales per rep calculation, it might force you to ask a couple questions or dig a little deeper somewhere to kind of get the answers. Okay, it's higher for one company than another, big deal, but why? And if you look on this, you probably find similar to what I did, that advertisers tend to have a better ROI from the little bit of reading I did on it with Facebook. So that's why. But Facebook built basically a better product for advertisers anyways, than its competitors did. So yeah, might raise other important questions, and just give you some qualification in your overall analysis there. So that I need, if I'm thinking right, that's it. Yeah. Look, like I said on my previous video on the sales versus inventory, this is investment analysis, especially if you're following along with Philip Fisher. He talks about doing a lot of scuttlebutt. That's a lot of homework. If you love it, then okay, you don't have a problem with it. Maybe for some people it's just more than they want to bite off. But beyond that, you know, knowing even where to start would be helpful. Instead of wading through every single company, going through every single point, if you had a starting point from somebody that you trust, then I think you could probably spend your time more effectively analyzing companies that actually had the potential to be worthwhile investments rather than just companies you're picking at random for that. So anyhow, down in the description, I have a link to Capitalist Exploits. That's an investment newsletter, and they have a free version of their newsletter and a paid version, of course. They got a blog that they update frequently. They're well reviewed on Trustpilot, seem to have a good reputation. And like I said, that link is down in the video description. So you might check them out and sign up for the free newsletter at least. To complement your other information that you use to make investment decisions, you can check them out. So that's all there is to it. Sales per rep. Check out those other posts / videos that I did. Again, they're going to have downloadable worksheets that allow you to do real thorough revenue analysis. And again, I've got the same thing on previous posts, previous points. I'm kind of working my way through, and this will be the end of point 4, moving on to point 5 now. But anyhow, if you thought this video was fairly short, I'm not the best in the world making short videos. I can get a little long-winded, but if you thought it was to the point, and that I like to start with a summary and just lay out the main points and then get into a little more detail, and I do think I get into a lot of detail. If you like that, then I would appreciate a like. If you want to know where to look for investment analysis how-to videos going forward, all these, anything I make on the common stocks and uncommon profits on that topic going forward is going to be a video, and then I post all my videos on my website too. But if you want to know somewhere to look for more information like that, you can subscribe, and that way you don't have to search and try to remember who was it that made that video that I liked so much way back when about sales per rep. And anyhow, thanks you guys for watching. Appreciate your time. Take care.